Tell us your name and tell us about your project.
Yes, my name is Edwin Hubble, but my wife Grace calls me Hubby. I'm an astrologer and astrophysicist. For this project, I used what was at the time the most powerful telescope available, which is known as the Hooker telescope, to observe and interpret the mysteries of outer space.
And what exactly are you guys trying to do or find?
Initially, we were trying to find, or to get a better grasp, if you will, of the universe outside of our own atmosphere. However, we ended up doing a lot more than that. At the time, the general belief was the Milky Way was the only known galaxy in our universe. Through the use of the Hooker telescope, I was able to debunk this belief by discovering that several nebulae of much debate at the time were actually entirely separate galaxies. In addition to this, I discovered a phenomenon known as redshifting, which is to say that as light emitting bodies are traveling away from an observer at a significant speed, the wavelength of that light is stretched. We call this redshifting because as a wavelength of light stretches, it shifts further into the red and even into the infrared spectrum. This discovery led to the realization that the universe is actually expanding and at an accelerated rate. Thanks to my observations and this project as a whole, this rate is now quantifiable.
Interesting. Where did the project or experiment occur?
The site of the experiments took place at Mount Wilson Observatory in Los Angeles, California, which is actually the home of the Hooker telescope.
Were there any other significant events happening around the world at that time?
It all took place in the early to late 1920s. So we had just seen the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, which allowed women to vote. The stock market crashed, leading to the Great Depression. Penicillin was discovered, The Great Gatsby had just been published, and World War I had just recently come to an end, just to name a few of the events.
Okay. Did anybody else have any involvement in the project?
My good friend and colleague, Milton Hugh Mason, was actually a primary contributor. His expertise and working knowledge of the Hooker telescope were invaluable to this project. And he's actually included in a number of my publications as well. Of course, I also have to thank all of the astronomers and mathematicians who came before me. Without that groundwork that they had laid, I wouldn't necessarily know what questions to ask, let alone how to get the answers.
Okay. What exactly was your role in the project?
I was the lead astronomer on the project, so I was in charge of making and analyzing observations and interpreting the aforementioned results.
What impact would you say that your project had on the physics community?
I was the first person to conclusively show that the nebula that had been, in such debate were actually other galaxies. So proving that there were more galaxies than just our own. Additionally, I also proved the concept of redshifting on a celestial level, and proved the concept of the expanding universe.
Are there any modern day astrological projects that have used your discoveries as a foundation to further our understanding of the universe?
Yes, actually, most recently the James Webb Telescope was launched with the intent to look to the furthest reaches of the known universe, and yet to be known universe at that, in hopes of getting a better understanding of the earlier stages of how everything formed, the Big Bang. I think the results of this project will be interesting and important to keep an eye on moving forward. This project builds on the foundation that I myself and all the other astrologers and mathematicians have laid before us, and I can't wait to see what mysteries they uncover.
Awesome. With that, I believe that concludes this interview. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, thank you very much.